Dead Challenge Duo Podcast, episode number 62. Sky on the ceiling. How you feeling, Alexander?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you, Andy?
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a week, dude. I'm getting through it, but again, we're recording on a Saturday. My work schedule has been hectic. I've been working 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. each day, but that 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. is really more, on some days it's 4 a.m. to 3 p.m. is what I've been working, and it's a nightmare, as you can imagine. Adjusting to that schedule has been pretty difficult, and then the worst part about it is that schedule flips on me starting Monday. I'm actually working overnights. So I'm going to be working 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., which at this job, there is no such thing as an 8-hour schedule. So this, again, is another late episode. I want to say sorry to the Patreon backers. I want to say sorry to anyone who was thinking about becoming a Patreon backer for early access, because you're probably going to get it about, 12 hours early instead of what we're used to, which is several days. But it's been a trying week, man. It's been a trying week. But Andy's been, just fine, I guess.
Yeah. Nothing new. Nothing changes ever.
You started a new job, and that's kind of led to some difficulties with our scheduling. So,
I only work regular 9 to 5.
Really?
Like every other adult.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You do? I don't know if you're
Sometimes
messing
8 to
with me.
4, sometimes
okay.
9 to 5. Just regular 8-hour shifts in the morning.
I just wish I just want to get back to that so bad, dude. Like, working a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 8 to 5, 8 to 4, 7 to 4. I worked a job one time that was 7 to 3:30 in the afternoon, and it was great. And just to have that routine.
12 to 5.
I just, the thing is, it's like, it's so hard to live a normal life when your schedule changes. Like, so I worked 4 to 1 for 2 weeks. Now I'm working 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. for the next 2 weeks. Then I'm going back to 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's impossible.
Just befriend everyone that works at IHOP. It's
impossible to schedule anything. Your internal clock's all over the place. I wake up at, like today, I woke up at 9 a.m. and I felt like I had overslept. It was weird. I don't know, man. It's difficult. Anyway, moving into the regular topics, we'll get back to normal here on DCD. What have we been watching? What have we been playing this week? Andy, what have you been watching and playing?
Get ready for this one.
Okay.
Planet of the Apes. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Sadly, that's the only ones.
Okay.
And Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut, huh?
Yeah.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I watched it this week. I just kidding. Yeah, no, not before this.
Okay.
Did you know?
We need to talk about that movie. I want to get your take on it.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
The old guy in it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to spoil the old guy that threw the party.
It's old.
Ziegler.
Come on. Yeah.
You never know. It's a Kubrick. I'm not going to spoil Kubrick.
Okay.
The old guy throws the party. Ziegler. That guy, all right, is the guy who directed Absence of Malice.
No effing way.
Yep. Sidney Pollack.
Mm.
Same dude. What a prick.
Wow.
That's everything I've been watching.
Okay. So, what have you been playing?
You watched me play Madden? That's it.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant to answer the same playing every week,
So, this week, I really have very little to bring to the table. I haven't touched a video game in a while. So I haven't been playing anything other than Candy Crush Friends on my phone. I've been playing that a lot. But I don't know, dude. I just feel like I don't even know what I have time to play anymore, and I hate it. I'm working all these crazy hours, and I'm always exhausted. And
Take your Switch to work, play some Pokemon.
That's actually an idea, because I do have a Switch Lite, but I need to get a case for it because my wife stole my case. So, you know, I got my wife a Switch Lite for Christmas, if you don't know, and she took my case. So I got to get a new one, and I could play some Switch games on the go. As far as what I've been watching this week, a little bit of The Office. Been watching The Office a little bit here and there. I did watch a bunch of Friends with my wife right before. Why are we tapping our heads?
I'm just thinking.
Oh, okay. So I did watch a little bit of Friends with my wife, but they took it off Netflix, so she wasn't able to finish it, so I kind of felt bad for her. And then we did watch, I think we're through 6 episodes, maybe 5. I'm not sure. I have to go and look. The Witcher on Netflix. We've been watching that, and ooh, man, I love it. I know that the critics are kind of mixed on it, but I think it's really good.
The critics watched episode 1 and 5. That's it.
Oh, okay. So I'm a little upset that the critics are kind of downing it after 5 episodes, because episode 4, I want to say,
they didn't watch 1 through 5. They watched episode 1 and then skipped to 5. And that's what there's like a lot of backlash because critics did that.
There's a lot of exposition in 2 to 4. So like if you don't have those,
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've been watching The Witcher. It's great. If you like the video games, please, even if you don't like the games, go check it out. It's really good. I've really liked it. I love Henry Cavill. It's a great performance for him, and can't wait to finish it up. I'm a little sad that it's only 8 episodes. Presumably there will be a second season, so we'll probably get more. But that's what I've been watching this week, and I did watch alumni. No, I didn't watch that.
Hellraiser alumni Henry Cavill. He was in Hellraiser Hellworld.
I can't believe that.
Fantastic movie.
I still can't believe that. But anyway, let's move on now.
I watched Brockmire and Seinfeld as well. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Seinfeld's a good one.
I mean, it's always on. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's timeless. It's one of the few shows from that era that is truly timeless. Other than the fact that if they had cell phones, a lot of the issues that they had would be easily resolved. Anyway, moving on to listener questions this week. We had one. It was from Daniel of The Reasons I'm Broke, at Reasons I'm Broke on Twitter. Outstanding podcast. They are an award-winning podcast, by the way. So definitely check them out. But he wanted us to talk about this tweet that went viral this week. And I'll quickly read it to you guys. And apparently, I'm not able to access it. Oh, here it is. Okay. So it was saying I couldn't access the tweet for some kind of I got, sidetracked here thinking the guy deleted it. But this guy at Dr. Ed Powell says, seeing the Star Wars movies does not make you a Star Wars fan. Actual Star Wars fans have done some of the following. And then he gives a list. Read the novelizations. Read books in the EU. I don't know what the EU is. I want to say expanded universe. Okay, thank you. Read new canon books. Read some comics. Watched the animated shows. Participated in Star Wars discussion groups. Andy, how do you feel?
I feel like he's missing one. Galaxy's Edge. You had to go to Galaxy Edge to be a Star Wars fan. All these and Galaxy Edge, you're a Star Wars fan. He hasn't gone to Galaxy's Edge, he's not a Star Wars fan.
If you live in North Dakota, buy a ticket right now and
you
come
gotta go to Galaxy's
Edge. Our economy needs it down here in Florida.
Then you're a Star Wars fan in my book.
Then you're a Star Wars fan.
Hey, if you're a Star Wars fan, Name every character.
You forgot Jar Jar Binks. You forgot
that one guy that's only in the background for 3 seconds. You don't know his name?
Don't know his name? I don't know.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah. So I'm just going to approach it this way. I've never called myself a Star Wars fan. I enjoy the movies. I think they're good. I think it's a good series. I enjoy the series. I've never watched excuse me. So, I've never read any of the books. I've never wanted to read any of the books. I have never read any of the comics. But I guess I would qualify myself as a Star Wars fan because I did watch the Clone Wars animated series. So, there's that. I guess my biggest issue with this is
I'm a Star Wars fan, apparently. I own a book.
Well, there you go.
I own 2. I grabbed this one.
I don't like this, dude. It's gatekeeping to the maximum, and I can't stand it. And the best correlation I can give you, or comparison, I should say. Not correlation, I used the wrong word. The best comparison I could give you is Kingdom Hearts 3. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out on Xbox One. It was the first time Kingdom Hearts was ever on an Xbox platform. And there were a lot of people who I know that are Xbox people. They've been on the platform since 2001, and they don't buy PlayStations. Like, I realize most consumers, they pick a box, and they just buy one box. They're not like me, where they buy all of them. Or you, Andy, where you eventually bought all of them.
PC Master Race.
Well, I mean, you do have a good PC, you know, but that's the
only thing I have. I don't have a console.
The thing, I mean, that's fine too. I don't even have a problem with PC gamers. At this point, you know, the PC Master Race people, I don't even think that's an argument anymore. I don't hear that kind of rhetoric in the PC gaming community. But my point in all of it was, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3 came to Xbox One, and people were saying, you know, if you play Kingdom Hearts 3 and you don't play the first 2 games, you know, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not a Kingdom Hearts fan, even if you like Kingdom Hearts 3. And then there were people who were saying, like, you should have to play the first 2 and then all these other little side games. And it's just gatekeeping, and I can't stand it. Because my thing is this, like, let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. And if they enjoy something maybe in the middle of a run, they might go back and watch all the previous. So a good example that I could give you of myself is I watched an episode of The Office that was very late in the series, and I loved it. And it made me go back and, like, I'm getting some kind of a weird echo here. It made me go back and rewatch all the old episodes, you know, just because I like that one. So to call someone and say, hey, you're not a Star Wars fan because you didn't watch all this stuff prior and you didn't read the novels and all that, like, that's kind of screwed up. And from a personal perspective, you know, by this guy's measuring stick, my wife would not be a Star Wars fan, but she went through and she rewatched every movie. She's working her way through the Clone Wars animated show right now. She's already expressed interest in reading some of the comics, and I could see her reading the books as well. But according to this guy, Gatekeeper Ed, she's not a Star Wars fan. So
Just gotta go to Galaxy Edge.
Yeah. Well, we did go recently to that theme park, and she was like, I need to go in the next year, so we're waiting for things to...
You also have to watch the Christmas specials.
The Christmas specials. You see, I love that you're making a joke out of it. You gotta
play the countless prequel video games.
Yeah.
The other ones don't matter. Just the prequel ones.
Yeah, all the prequel games.
The pod racing one. This is pod racing.
You need to buy an N64, get Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer, whatever the hell it was called on N64. And you got to play that. And you got to get golds on every level.
Yeah, you got to get all the collectibles and all the games.
Yeah, and you have to play Star Wars Rogue Squadron, one of my favorite games of all time. You also need to play the Rogue Squadron 2 and 3. 3 was launch on GameCube. So my wife has a whole gauntlet that she has to go through to become a Star Wars fan, apparently. I hate people like this. I hate
Rise of the Old Republic, or whatever that game's called.
I shouldn't have said hate. I don't hate guys like Ed personally. I hate their mentality is what I should say. It irritates me so much that people want to like set this weird litmus test. If you don't meet these metrics, you're not a fan of the series.
I mean, people do it in sports too. Oh yeah, name 5 players.
If you don't live tweet games, you're not a fan, Andy.
I'm not. I don't live tweet games.
You don't live tweet games. I saw that. I don't tweet at all. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. So to answer your question, Daniel, the guy's an idiot and he's a prick, and I feel bad for him because, you know what? I'll think about Star Trek. I like Star Trek way more than Star Wars. Big fan of Star Trek. When someone comes to me and they go, I watched Next Generation and I fell in love with Star Trek, I don't go, you're not a fan. You didn't watch the originals. Like, you should be...
You didn't watch the Star Trek animated series.
No, you should be excited that somebody else is becoming part of your community, right? Becoming part of your fandom. You shouldn't sit there and like, well, you're not a real fan. You're not an original fan. I hate that take.
There's a second listener question.
Oh, really?
Coming from December 2nd, 2019 from at Cuban Slim.
Okay.
Who is first place in the NFC West? I wonder who. Who's first in the NFC? I don't know.
You know, I saw that tweet and then I saw that you did like, there's a bot that you can have yeah. I mean, it just goes to show the NFL is so ever changing. Like, I don't care if you're first in your division in early December, so much could change, especially in today's NFL. So, good for the 49ers. They earned their way to a division title.
Yes. Speaking of change.
Yeah.
We went from a bad romance movie to a good one in DCD Film Club. My pick this week. We're doing it early because we have a bunch of sports talk.
Yeah.
My pick this week was Harold and Maude from 1971.
Yep.
And Alexander. What you think?
So I have a lot of thoughts on this film, and it's my first time watching it, so I want to make that clear. I think with DCD Film Club, you guys have seen, you know, like, we always try to
Did you know about it before I mentioned it?
No, I didn't know about it. I didn't even know this existed. I had no idea that it was, like, so well regarded. It got a Criterion release, which is usually reserved for the, like, the best of the best. You know, generally speaking, if you have something that's on the Criterion...
In-game doesn't have one.
Oh my God, Andy, shut up, dude. You're killing me, dude. I just want some DC fan would be like, that game doesn't have a Criterion release. I just hit the mic. I'm so sorry. That just caught me off guard. But that's so good. It's so true. I don't care about Endgame. Like, screw that movie. It's so stupid. The whole MCU is stupid. Like, this movie is a perfect example of why, like, superhero movies, like, who cares? Like, this is a beautiful film that says something about society, and I love it. But yeah, I didn't even know it existed, and it's my first time watching it, and I would tell people, kind of like Under the Skin, I would tell people the first half hour I was a little bit lost. Like, I felt like I didn't really fully grasp what was going on or what they were going for from a writing standpoint, but I think in a weird way it was intended, because they're trying to make you figure out like what Harold's core problem is, and then it makes the exposition in the second act so good, where he opens himself up to Maude and explains why he's so obsessed with death, and it really meant something, and I love that. Like, they let it simmer. But to give you a quick summation of the film, you're following Harold around. He's a young man, presumably in his early 20s. He comes from a very affluent background, and he's not really doing much of anything with his life. He doesn't really have any purpose or any driving cause. He has a mother who is neglectful in some ways, but also micromanages him in other aspects of his life, and is trying to push him towards finding some sense of responsibility and adulthood and all that, which I think comes from a good place. And I think the lady who played the mother did an exceptional job of being a very unlikable character who probably has misplaced well intentions, but doesn't really understand what her son is going through. And I think that's a very real thing. Like, it felt very real life to me. And that's one thing that I really liked about it. But Harold meets Maude by chance, and they strike up a friendship that leads to, I guess you could call it a bit of a romance. And
they do the old in and out.
Yeah, the thing about Maude is she's kind of the opposite of Harold. She's what in literary terms what we would call a foil, where they do have some underlying similarities, but in some underlying similar circumstances, but on the whole, they're very separate people in terms of their outlook and their ambitions and maybe their motivations. Maude's very live in the moment and appreciate every moment of life, whereas Harold is, I wish I was dead. And what I love about the plot is at the very end, and I won't spoil it for anybody because I would encourage you to go out there and watch this. It was a great watch. It was an amazing hour and a half ride. But Maude teaches Harold to appreciate life and how to live and cherish this gift that you've been giving of youth, of good health, of affluence, and take it and spread that, right? And it's this beautiful message that I really...
She's also the most unlikely person too.
Yeah.
Because she's, a Holocaust victim.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those beautiful things where Harold and Maude, not the film's title, but the characters, they're a collision of ideas. And out of that comes this beautiful story of someone who doesn't want to live anymore in their early 20s, now having purpose, an idea of what they want to do with the rest of their life, and this, I guess you would call it an ideal of wanting to spread goodwill amongst other people and do the right thing. And one of the things that I really loved about the Maude character was she has there's always a reason for what she does. Like, even in the chaos, there's a cause behind it. And the idea of I believe in something and I'm willing to do anything for it, which is a stark contrast to Harold's uncle Victor, who is a yes man in the military. And nothing against military. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the military. But, Harold's uncle Victor, he's kind of radicalized. He wants war. He wants suffering. He wants another World War II. And I think we can all agree that these are not things that are good for society as a whole. But, Victor looks at it as, well, it gives me purpose, So I think overall, like from a plot standpoint, this film does a great job of talking about life's purpose. I think that's something that as humans, we all struggle with. I've said this time and time again. I think most humans, they struggle with three things: origin, purpose, destiny. This film really does explore those three things, especially purpose. And then, cinematography standpoint, it was filmed beautifully. I loved it. It kind of feels dated because of the characters and their hairstyles and the wardrobe and all that. But I think if you took this in modern day from a filming standpoint, the cinematography still stands up. It's really good. The audio is mixed really well. I liked that you could tell they were purposely keeping Harold's level down because they wanted him to feel kind of subdued, because that's how he felt as a character. So I had to turn the volume up a lot when Harold was talking, and I think that was purposeful because they want him to seem as someone who doesn't have a voice, because he didn't feel like he had a voice with his own family, But later on in the film, he does come up. So it's an amazing performance by the character who played the actor who played the character Harold, whose name I forget at the moment. And then
Hal Asby or something like that.
Yeah, and like I read some interviews that he did after the film.
Hal Asby's the director.
Oh, okay. Ashby. So, great acting performances all around. There wasn't a single actor that I felt did a poor job. So it certainly was a far cry from Every Christmas Has a Story that we covered last week. And then the Cat Stevens soundtrack was really good. I think even if you don't like Cat Stevens, it fits so well with this film. You can't help but say it did really well. So overall, I really liked it, dude. I was surprised. The first 30 minutes, I was like, what am I watching? And then the last hour was just this beautiful story. Andy, what do you feel? How do you feel about this movie?
Things you didn't mention. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. There are some funny moments.
It's definitely one of the best rom-coms.
It's definitely a black comedy. It's that dark comedy style that I like.
Bud Cort, the guy who plays Harold, he does all the stunts. He doesn't have a stunt man.
Really?
I appreciate.
He did all
thing
that?
when he's in the pool. He's literally holding his breath.
I'm impressed.
There's no stunt man.
I'm impressed. So I'm thinking about the scene where he
catches
fakes
himself on fire.
That one too. But the one where he fakes shooting himself in the head and falls back in the chair. If you've ever fallen back in a wooden chair like that, it hurts like hell. I can't believe that he did that himself.
Yep.
That's impressive.
No, you pretty much covered everything.
No, go on. Tell us more, Andy. Give us something.
You got it, pimp.
No, dude. I want to hear more from you.
What else am I going to say? You covered it all.
I feel like I talk too much on this podcast.
No, you're good. You're fine.
No, I really feel like we do. We do that.
We talk too much.
No, I feel like I talk too much, and you don't.
No, I don't know.
Come on, man.
Care. What was there to say? I'm just gonna repeat what you said.
This was your pick.
Yeah, so you discussed it. That's
God, I feel terrible.
I pick a movie and I want to know what you think about it. That's why I picked the movies.
I feel like I took all the cool stuff.
Alex, You're the only one.
I feel like
the
guy.
It's fine.
I feel like I'm the guy at the table at Olive Garden who took the last breadstick. It's terrible. Don't be that guy.
You're fine.
It's a great movie.
I literally don't care.
Well, I mean, I care about this podcast, but
I meant that you talked.
No.
I don't see you as talking. Like, you gave your opinion. I'm just saying it would be irrelevant and a waste of time if I repeated what you said.
Okay, it's fair. So, since we have a lot of other stuff to discuss, specifically NFL related, let's get into our rating out of 10 for Harold and Maude. I'll give mine first. I want to say this very clear. If you have not seen this film, please go watch it. It's beautiful. It's one of the weirdest romance movies you'll ever see, but it's good. And it holds up. God, I just realized it's 48 years old. And it's still, that's crazy to me.
Oh yeah. Came out same time 2001: A Space Odyssey, around.
So I gave this movie an 8.5 out of 10. It's great. Go see it.
8 out of 10. Bad movie. No, I'm kidding.
Bad movie. I wish I watched Endgame instead.
Yeah, Endgame 24/7 365.
You can watch it 8 times in a day because it's 3 hours long. Has scenes where somebody's eating a sandwich in front of a desk and a green screen. Ugh.
Before you make your pick,
Yeah.
I'm going to loop back to the beginning.
Okay.
Forgot to ask you. Have you ever seen Beneath the Planet of the Apes?
No.
Man, that's going to be a film club selection. Just... boy.
As I said, I want to say I said it last week. I could be wrong. It might have been either before or after we recorded, but I
think you said it directly after I said it.
Okay, so only when it comes to Planet of the Apes, I have only seen the original. That's it.
Not the Tim Burton one with your wife?
No. None of them. I have not seen a single one.
Well, Beneath the Planet of the Apes is my next meme pick.
Well, there we go. So my pick for next week is a little bit of a heavier movie. It's something that explores... No. What if it was? So my movie is a little bit of a heavier one. It kind of explores some social issues, and it's based out of 1998. A little bit of controversial undertones, especially in today's world. But it's a film that I've always wanted to cover on here because I figured we'd get some good discussion out of it. And it's American History X from 1998, starring Ed Norton. And looking forward to covering that one this week. But if you're looking for something a little more lighthearted, and at the end will make you kind of appreciate what you have, check out Harold and Maude from 1971. So,
or Most Valuable Primate.
The Most Valuable Primate, which was what Andy put in the show notes that I vaguely remember, and I think it's a real thing, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's a Disney movie. Or Nick.
Oh, okay.
About a skating monkey.
Oh my god. Okay, now I remember it now. Okay. All you had to do is say skating monkey, and I remember it now. Yeah. So anyway, moving on to sports topics. We're going to talk about the 2019 NFL
DCD
playoffs.
Second ever award show, 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, wait. We're talking about the awards or the playoffs?
I thought we'd do the awards first.
Okay, so we're going to do the awards first. Let me go ahead. No, it's all good, man. I don't care because, we'll talk about both. So let's get into it, Andy. Go ahead and lead off here.
Coach of the Year. The nominees are doing the same bit from last week. Coach of the Year, call me biased or not, Kyle Shanahan.
That's fair. I can't even blame you for that one. He was definitely in the top 3 for me.
There's only 4 starters in the 49ers that played the entire season.
Yeah, he did a great job this year.
13-3.
So I had some really high honorable mentions, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention them. Obviously, Shanahan, John Harbaugh in Baltimore, and Brian Flores in Miami. I hope someone votes for him just to give him that rub, because the job Brian Flores did in Miami this year was outstanding. But my pick is Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. I think what he did with a roster that most people saw as a 7-9 or a 6-10 roster is outstanding. I think those Buffalo Bills look prepared every single Sunday. I realize John Harbaugh will probably win, but I think Sean McDermott did a heck of a job. So
I will mention Matt LaFleur.
That's a good one too. I mean, it's
He's
tough.
my pick for Coach of the Year at the beginning.
It's tough this year, man. Like I even thought about Vrabel in Tennessee. Yeah. To make the bold choice to
Kyle
go
Shanahan coaching tree.
To say, you know what, screw Mariota. I think Tannehill gives us a better chance to win. And you look at what the Titans did, it worked out.
Comeback Player of the Year. Call me biased or not, Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's a good one.
13-3 off an ACL.
It's a good
torn ACL.
It's a good one. He was number 2 on my list. This one to me felt like the most slam dunk pick. Dalvin Cook. He had an outstanding year after that injury. Came back from it. Did really well.
I thought you were going to go my honorable mention.
Who was that?
Ryan Tannehill.
He deserves consideration as well, but I think Dalvin Cook just had such a great year. If you had to give the Vikings an MVP, it would be Dalvin Cook. And to come back from that injury so fast and be so dominant amongst other running backs in the league, to me, that's the pick. But Garoppolo's a good one too.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. Call me biased. No, I'm kidding. A.J. Brown, the Tennessee Titans.
That's a good one.
He's a beast. He turns 10-yard gains into 60-yard gains.
So for me, I had it stacked. Josh Jacobs number 1. I think he deserves it. Kyler Murray 2, AJ Brown 3, and then the rest. Miles Sanders, if you got playing time earlier in the year, you'd probably be right up there with Josh Jacobs.
Near the end of the season, AJ Brown was just completely dominant the month of December.
And it's also kind of a credit to Tannehill. I think, Ryan Tannehill being under center has helped AJ Brown, and I think he's gonna have a heck of a career ahead of him.
Yeah. Defensive Rookie of the Year, probably gonna be unanimous.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Bosa. Absolute animal.
I feel bad. The 2 guys that I had right underneath him had great years, but you can't discount.
He has the most pressures a rookie's ever had.
Yeah, so I got Bosa here, and by the way, he's a contender for Defensive Player of the Year, not just Rookie of the Year. But the 2 guys I had right underneath were Devin Bush and Devin White. They both had outstanding years. It's a shame. Most other years, Devin Bush or Devin White would have won.
Devin White won December Rookie of the Month. Sorry,
he did. I was really concerned about Quan Alexander leaving, and they drafted Devin, and look at him now. Works out.
All right. We move on to Offensive Player of the Year. I picked the best non-quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best receiver at this position.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best blocker at this position.
Okay.
He's the most dominant player that isn't a quarterback. That's George Kittle.
That's fair.
He had a 95 PFF score, the highest tight end has ever had, 3 above the guy in second place was Gronk in 2011. He had 3.11 yards per route ran, most in the league per any position. The only player to have more than 3. He caught 90.9% of passes thrown his way. That's 10% higher than every other tight end.
He had a great year. My pick is a guy who I think should have gotten way more MVP consideration, but he's not playing on a playoff team, so he's not going to get it. And that's Christian McCaffrey of the Panthers. I love the year Kittle had. I love the year Michael Thomas had. Dalvin Cook was another guy that I definitely thought about putting in there. Even Austin Eckler was another person that I thought.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas, definitely up there. But
I was trying to make you feel like I was going to pick Michael Thomas, still said blocking.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, I think, if you take him off of the Panthers this year, Kyle Allen would be rubbish. And I think they'd probably win about 3 games. McCaffrey was the one thing that kept that Panthers offense good throughout the year. Yeah. So that was why I picked him.
Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going with Stephon Gilmore.
I get that pick. I realize he's going to win. And that's fine.
He's the favorite.
Yeah.
Far beyond the favorite.
That's fine. And I know a lot of people are going to say TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald, Chandler Jones, Minka Fitzpatrick, all that. My pick, a little bit of a homer pick here, but it's Shaq Barrett. This guy took a 1-year contract, came into Tampa. Tampa was by far the worst defense in the league last year. All of a sudden, Shaq Barrett shows up, teams up with Vita VA, JPP, and all of a sudden, boom, the Bucs are a formidable defense. He led the league in sacks. He had a crazy amount of hits on the QB as well. He even forced quite a few fumbles, and he got 1 interception this year. To me, it's Shaq Barrett. Stephon Gilmore, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, all the guys I mentioned before, they had great years, but I think it has to. If I was voting, I'd vote for Shaq Barrett.
Disappointing Player of the Year. Feel like another unanimous.
Mm-hmm.
Going with Mitchell Trubisky.
It's a good one. And he'd be high on my list.
Based on your reaction, isn't unanimous.
No, well, it's close because he would be up there. I really thought Trubisky was going to make another jump this year, and he just didn't. My biggest disappointment this year, couple honorable mentions. Juju Smith-Schuster was very disappointing. But it's Jameis Winston. It's Jameis Winston.
Yeah, 30 season, bro. Come on. 5,000 yards.
Hear me out. I know some people are probably shaking their heads going, Alex just wants to talk about the Bucs. I'm not. I promise you I'm not. There probably is some bias in there, but going into this year, the general consensus was Bruce Arians repaired Carson Palmer's career. Bruce Arians also coached Andrew Luck to a phenomenal rookie season that led to a playoff run. So you bring him into Tampa, he can get Jameis Winston back on track, maybe get the Bucs into playoff contention. and they had a nice little run there at the end, and they finished 7-9. And that it feels so close to being a 10-6 team. That team feels so close to being a 10-6 team. But as Andy mentioned earlier, Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions. It's crazy. It's just insane. And look at how many of those interceptions were pick sixes.
Yeah, he's putting up points.
Game deciding pick sixes.
Putting up points, though.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I watched that defense, which credit to Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles came in there. The Bucs secondary, not so good. Vernon Hargreaves was their best defensive back going into the year. He got cut in the middle of the year. Todd Bowles put together a defense that worked. Okay? But they got taxed so heavily by the turnovers. The Bucs led the league in points given up off of turnovers. Jameis Winston was supposed to improve under Arians. In my opinion, he had his worst season ever. I know he passed for over 5,000 yards. I know he's on that list of like 8 QBs that have done it. I don't even think that's a testament to him. I think it's a testament to his receivers. Evans.
Chris Godwin.
I'm sorry. I couldn't think of it at the moment. And Brashad Perryman.
Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller had a good year. Perriman had a good year. O.J. Howard, not so much, but he wasn't on the field all the time. Brait had a great year. He has the weapons, but he just makes too many mistakes. So that's why he's my most disappointing player of the year. But Trubisky would definitely be up there as well. Can't really think of anybody else other than Smith-Schuster, who put Antonio Brown on there too. Look at what kind of a year he had.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Most improved player. As the dogs bark in the background.
Yeah.
Probably going to take the most awards.
Mm.
My guy, Shaq Barrett. We'll continue talking about the Bucs.
Yeah, I realize. So an amendment to earlier. I know full well defensive player of the year is going to go to Gilmore. He had a great year. Most improved player has to go to Barrett. It has to be. The guy took a chance on himself. He took a 1-year, $4 million contract. Had one of the best single seasons any pass rusher has ever had. And that's saying a lot. So it to me, it goes to Shaq Barrett. You could throw Tannehill in there too, believe it or not. But anyway, MVP Andy.
I mean, it's unanimous.
I mean, it can only be one person.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Kidding.
You shocked me. I was like, wait, what happened here?
Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
no
to
one
me,
else.
it has to be Lamar Jackson. I mean, we're talking about the same guy who saved the Baltimore Ravens season last year. This year he leads them to 14-2 record, number 1 seed in the AFC. They beat the Patriots. They beat the 49ers in what I would call the game of the year in the regular season. That Ravens 49ers game, I couldn't take my eyes off of that screen. It was so good. If there is a football god, we will get a 49ers Ravens Super Bowl. It would be the best Super Bowl ever in terms of competitiveness. I know, but a real one, Andy. A real one. I want
stay on
that
the entire time.
Yeah, so the power will stay on the whole time. But yeah, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. If I had to pick somebody that wasn't a QB, it'd be Christian McCaffrey. I can't say it enough. The year that guy had as a receiver and a runner is unbelievable. But it's going to be Lamar, and he does deserve it. So there you go. Anyway, that's our DCD 2019 NFL Awards. If any players are out there listening, you want a trophy, just email us, and I'll make up a trophy for you, and I'll send it to you. Give you your DCD award. Shaq Barrett, get at me,
Kevin
man.
Hogan.
Kevin Hogan, yeah.
Legend.
So moving on to the
first inductee to the DCD Hall of Fame, Kevin Hogan.
Yeah, along with Jeff Kuhn.
Yeah, Jeff Kuhn, Kevin Hogan.
That's the inaugural
Hall of Fame.
That's the inaugural Hall of Fame class. So moving on to 2019 NFL playoffs, Andy. We've got a slew of matchups here. Are we going to do just the first week, or are we going to go through the whole shebang?
Why not go through the whole shebang?
All right.
As we do weekly picks, I think we should do weekly playoff picks and count those, but we'll go through the whole shebang for giggles.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Makes sense.
Or we'll do extra points if you get it right this time.
Okay.
Maybe. Something like that. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
Starting with the AFC wild card, we have the Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. And to quote Coach O, good luck in the playoffs. Go Bills. Bills are going to take it.
I love the impression. I'm going to take the Bills here. I like them a lot.
They got the defense. You could argue Josh Allen's a better quarterback.
You probably could.
And Texans, they did not look great last week.
True.
Or it was 2 weeks ago when they played the Bucs.
Yeah, they did. They definitely didn't look good.
Yeah,
so
Buffalo Bills.
The other wild card matchup we have here in the AFC. This is an intriguing one. The Tennessee Titans playing the New England Patriots in Foxborough. I'm going to go out on a limb here. New England has looked really, really vulnerable at the end of the season. Tennessee Titans, they are that team that is dumb enough to think they can beat anyone. They have zero fear whatsoever. I don't think they have much to lose here. Nobody even had them making the playoffs. I was certainly not someone who had them making the playoffs, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans here.
Mike Vrabel played several seasons with the Patriots.
Yep. Many seasons.
Yeah, like 8 or 9. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And he's gonna lose to his old pal Bill Belichick.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it'd be fun to see the Titans win. I just don't see it happening.
We'll see. So next,
like the Titans are that Wichita State, Cinderella team.
Sure, but I don't know. I like the Titans. I think they're scrappy.
I'm saying they're a Cinderella team that they could potentially make a run.
They're scrappy. I like them, and those guys are really playing for each other.
I feel like the Titans could potentially go further than the Bills or the Texans, but they would also have to play the Ravens in the next round if they win. So I can't really
Yeah.
Moving on to the NFC wild card, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to go with the better team, the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I'm going Saints here. I have no faith in the Vikings. They had a good year, but I don't have faith in them beating the Saints.
And then we have the Seattle Seahawks heading to Philadelphia against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Seahawks.
And here's my upset. The Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't know. I think we get Seahawks 49ers 3 for the year. And that sets up a really fun NFC Championship game. But, yeah, I got the Seahawks.
The Seahawks, if they win, the Saints win. The Seahawks and 49ers play in the divisional round. Fun fact.
Oh, I see what you're saying here. Yeah, it would work out that way, wouldn't it?
The Vikings have to win for the Seahawks. 49ers play in the championship.
So let's just, since there's so many moving parts, like, let's do this. Who do you think wins the AFC? Who do you think wins the NFC? What's the Super Bowl? And who wins the Super Bowl? Let's go with that.
Who wins the AFC?
Yeah.
The best team in the AFC. Team has the best quarterback in the AFC. Team I can argue has the best offense in the AFC. Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, so I got Ravens in the AFC.
Just Patrick Mahomes' year.
Sure.
Then NFC, there's no other pick. It's the 49ers. They've beat the Packers. They've beat the Saints. They've beat the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Do it again.
I'm going 49ers here.
They potentially are going to play only rematches. They could potentially go Seahawks first round, then Saints the next round.
Yep.
And then Ravens if your, way it goes. And the champions, as I bet on them to win it all after the draft at plus $3,300. Plus 3,300 odds, sorry. Which is really high odds. My champions, the San Francisco 49ers, the best team in football.
It's crazy that you have money on it, and I'm rooting for you. I hope I'm wrong. I think the Ravens win it. I think they're best team in football. They got the best, in my opinion, they got the second best defense in football right now, second to the 49ers. But I think their offense will put them over the top. So
the Ravens got blown out by the Browns. Not a single team blew out the 49ers.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. It'll be fun. So that is our NFL playoffs discussion. Obviously, throughout the NFL playoffs, we will definitely go back and do picks and laugh at each other for being wrong. But that's going to do it for DCD.
Hold on.
Whoa. Okay.
Our final results of the pick'em. So all season we did pick'em. As my doc always takes forever to load.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of information on there.
Our final results. You went 146, 119, and 1. I went 155, 110, and 1. Beating you by 9.
Oh, wow.
Consensus picks went 103 and 57. And then split, I went 52. You had 43. And there was one tie.
Oh, well. Well, there's always next year. Next year we could put a friendly gentleman's bet on it, maybe. That'd be kind of fun. So,
loser leaves the podcast.
There's only room on this podcast for one of us. I want to talk about aliens, but you never let me. An old Western. I freaking love that concept. Yeah, so next year we're gonna do NFL Pick'em. Loser leaves the podcast. Rick Moranis, I hope you're available. Anyway, that's gonna do it for DCD 62. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to, real quick, before we get into the typical wrap-up stuff, I want to thank everybody out there listening for the month of December. It was our second best month overall, and I've heard amongst podcasting peers that December is traditionally a very bad month for podcast downloads, but you guys made it the second best month ever, and our best month was the previous month, November. So that's saying a lot. And to give you some even more perspective, the best month before November, we doubled that number. So we went from 2 listeners to 4. So thank you for that. And
I thought it was 1 to 2. But...
Yeah, 1 to 2. No, but seriously, the numbers, I don't want to underplay it. Like, we've worked really hard on this podcast over the last year or so, and probably a year and a half or whatever the hell. But like, I appreciate everybody that tunes in, and the best thing you can do is maybe tell a friend about the podcast. So, if you have a friend out there who's looking for a podcast suggestion, let them know about it. It really helps us out. Speaking of helping us out, t-shirt link, always in the description. You buy a t-shirt, gives us $6. Our Patreon information is in the description as well. You go to you go to patreon.com/DCD podcast, and it'll give you all the full details on our Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help the podcast out in terms of our costs. And you get early access and all kinds of other great benefits that are listed there. I want to thank our current Patreon backers, Dumbest Sphinx in the Egg tier, Bobby in the Andy tier, and then we have Jared and Daniel in the Gold tiers. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to us. And quite honestly, you guys are paying for the podcast. We don't have to come out of pocket for podcast hosting thanks to you guys. So thank you for that. And if you don't have any way of supporting us monetarily, that's cool. I definitely know how that goes. I work at a crappy job right now, and I don't have a lot of extra money. You can go on iTunes, leave us a review. If you leave us a review, I will give you a shout out on the show. And then finally, as always, go to deadchannelduo.com, and you can find us on every platform we're available. You'd be shocked how many platforms we're on. I'm working on getting us on Pornhub.
And if you get mad at us, email.
Yeah.
At Andy or Alex at deadchannelduo.com.
Yeah, it's that simple. We'll email you right back.
That's not one email. We each have our own separate ones. I probably should say that.
Yeah, Alex and Andy. Well, no.
Alex at deadchannelduo.com and Andy at deadchannelduo.com.
There you go. That's always in the description as well. You can send us your hate mail. You can send us listener questions. We definitely need some listener questions. We haven't had any of those in a while. But, well, we did have one this week from Daniel, but we usually have like 3 or 4. So, anyway.
To be fair, we haven't been asking, but.
That's true. You got that right. So, with that being said, again, thank you for December. It means a lot to me. I've had a rough last couple of months. You have no idea how heartwarming it was for me personally to have the podcast do so well in November and December. And I'm hoping that January will be even better. So, you know, we'll see what the future holds. Anyway, Andy, anything else you want to say before we get out of here, man?
Good luck in the playoffs. Go Bills, go Tigers.
I love the impression. Thank you for that, Andy. And thank you for listening. We will see you next week for DCD number 63.